think so.
What letter is this?
Q.
Q. This is indeed a Q.
All right, welcome to the Patriot Hour. We're back for Wednesday, December 5th, 2018. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Take a look in the description box. Take a look in the comment section. Leave a comment, drop a comment, but also take a look around. We got some of the greatest Patriots around the globe, around the country, around the planet right here joining in and helping everybody. And take a look in the description box, folks. It's been a real blessing having as many Patriots as we do joining in as much as they can. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to support the Patriot Hour in any way, we got the links below in the description. The Patreon. I've noticed people joining left and right. That just helps us continue to do this more frequently and for hopefully the rest of our lives. We have big plans for the Patriot Hour, but other than that, we got lots to get into. Ben's in the studio, and there he is.
Yes, sir. No, it's we had to kind of definitely come back, bring a little round two. This episode's going to be getting into a lot more meatier, a lot more cerebral. We're going to be going over some facts, some black and white facts, irrefutable.
And then things that we just are, you know, some things 2-3 years ago we got into, we didn't have an idea of what we're seeing now. So
Yes.
It only makes sense to, but we don't like to push any fear mongering or anything like that. So, you know, at a certain point of this episode, we'll let you know. We're going to go over some facts first here, all right, like always, and then we're going to get into just some things that we've maybe pieced together. But
our opinions and how we maybe possibly view the pieces
the
as
outcome
they
or where it's what this meant now according to. But let's get into some of this meat of.
Now, you were talking in this last episode about possibly executive orders and what they hold for really this the next within less than 30 days for us. Something to do with national security. National emergency. And then, of course, there's been some adjustments to the manual of court martials.
Yep, and we're going to follow the pin like Q said. So let's follow the pin. And this is, again, available if you look in the description box down below, folks. We got the link for the Q map. And this is the newest one. We literally, I was doing an episode. I've been complaining to Ben about this for months, that I would check, do an update, get out of the video, close it down, then look and see updates. Finally hit some of these other third-party sites that migrate basically just the Q post, folks. That way you're not getting all the chitter chatter above each post, and which is fine. We used to get into that. It takes up a little bit more of the episode, but anyway, I was doing episodes and things were updated by 6 minutes. I mean, that was, you know, whether it was even tighter than that, I just happened to see it at that point. But that allowed me to get that newest Q post in an episode.
We like real time and information coming as fast, and we don't like any delays. And so we enjoy this particular pub website, if you will, that has a lot of docs in it that we enjoy. So
quick background: there's 88 executive orders that Trump's put in since his that he's put pen to paper and signed. All right, we're going to be going over just a couple today that have to do with what we're this point in time and what we feel is pertinent to get out. So we got them already pulled up here, but again, that's available off the Q map down below. If you go to the left hand side here, if you have it would be the one with the pin, executive orders. You click it, it's going to come up on page 2. There's only 2 pages, and you're going to go over his 88, and you can click into them, and it'll take you to the actual links. So what we got pulled up here, and what we wanted to get into first, like Ben said, was the 2018 amendments to the manual for courts martial.
And then the other one, let's go over the other one first before we get into this one. And this is the other one. This is the blocking of property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption.
All right, so this one came to us, Executive Order 13818, and back in December 20th of 2017. So I'll read this first little paragraph here. Blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. I don't know how you feel about that. I think it's a pretty good executive order. It doesn't seem to be self-benefiting if you're involved in anything like that to put an executive order in like that. By the authority vested in me as President, the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And he names off these agencies. I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, find the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in whole or substantial part outside of the United States. Such of those committed and directed by persons listed in the annex to this order have reached such scope and gravity that they have threatened the stability and international political and economic systems. So this goes as far as to keep people in clutch holds in third world countries, that their political systems never gotten off the ground, their economic systems have never gotten off the ground. They have kept these people in a situation of despair and poverty on purpose for a certain purpose. We've gone over this in my last video I put out. That anyway, folks. All right, human rights abuse and corruption undermine the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies. These have devastating impacts on the individuals themselves, weakening democratic institutions, degrade the rule of law, and perpetuate violent conflicts, facilitate the activities of dangerous persons, and undermine economic markets. The United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse or engage in corruption, as well as to protect the financial systems of the United States from abuse by the same person.
So we can see very clearly that this lays out a very, very wide umbrella of human rights abuse. That's a huge scope. Corruption.
And you can argue, people will be like, there's been nothing done on that yet, Ben.
That's true.
Well,
yes.
Look, this has been put in that allowed. Now, what do we say? This created something.
This is a state of emergency. So this
it's
is
a national state of emergency. So it's not like one state; it's all states.
Yeah, and so
including Hawaii and Alaska. You know, it doesn't matter if they're folks. This allowed them to create special committees, do special fundings, secret people. Like you can't, if you already know that certain people are corrupt in almost every agency, that allows you to create sub agencies that are designed to infiltrate, get witnesses, get cooperating witnesses.
Well, and also think about, we also like to say the piggyback idea, or the plugging things in serial. A lot of executive orders will be hand in hand facilitate other executive orders. So this first one we wanted to go over, which is very clear in black and white. We showed you where the links are at, where it's coming from. This is very specifically involving abuse of human rights abuse and corruption. It does go on to say. Let's
go ahead and highlight a few of these here real quick.
Well, the
section 1.
And so it says here, it's kind of hard for me to see where that's at.
Let me go over here. There, it's up there.
So it says, okay, just as one of the sections, all property and interests in property that are in the United States, that hereafter come within the United States, that are or hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person of the following persons, are blocked and may be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt with. So what that basically, just quick what that says, all laws that we abide by can only be authoritative in the soil, the sovereignty of the United States. These people, we're not trying people that are living in Saudi Arabia or Russia. We're trying people who are on the American soil. But what this also does, it says, if you've operated anywhere on this earth, because you are an American, this is your.
So like American. To be responsible for or complicit in, or to have directly or indirectly engaged in serious so if they've engaged in it anywhere.
So what if it's a CEO of a foundation that has no idea that his whole entire foundation, or they willingly or unwillingly? So this is a huge kind of a dragnet, if you will, of anybody doing human rights, and it's pretty big. So this
could be somebody from Saudi Arabia if they came into the United States and did things off or out of here. We know some of these people that, okay. So what about some of these people that live in Saudi Arabia, but they have lots of things bought here, paid for, and owned here in the United States, and partake in those kind of crimes?
Okay, so in being both prior military, we know that you've ever had some of the dignitaries maybe come on one of your posts and they have those really cool red passports. They are dignitaries. They're exempt from the law because they are their sovereignty. They're carrying around. I forget what they're actually called. If anybody down below, let us know. They're red passports that when the United States you're exempt from the Constitution because you're a dignitary. You fall under some other law, whatever. Anyways, what this state of emergency executive order does is it puts a kibosh to all that.
Well, I'm saying, like, let's say a prince from Saudi Arabia.
If you step foot.
That's not military here, or I don't know if he was to come visit here, but let's say he
business or something.
Yeah,
right?
Just from there is able to make all purchases, operate things, and it kind of falls under that category. That's something for us to look into.
And we'll look into that. From how I'm personally reading this, it would be if any business dealings on soil. So if you're a citizen and you're doing business on American soil.
Yeah, that
or
does
if
read
you've
that. All
done,
property and interest in the property of the United States.
So it's interests or anything that's other
transferred. Or right here, though, are blocked or may not be transferred, paid.
So there you go. So if somebody's outside trying to do...
Well, let's see here. We go to Section 2, or B.
Okay.
To be a current or former government official or a person acting for or on behalf of such an official who is responsible for or complicit in or has directly or indirectly engaged in corruption, misappropriation of state asset, the exportation of private assets for personal gain, corruption related to government contracts. I mean, we know all this is coming out, folks.
Yeah.
So
this is just his executive order that outlines what the state of emergency is. Just like we know what's going to happen we need the first part of the story. Why is there a state of emergency? This is what he's so this is
this
the first
is a
one.
real thing, folks. Why would he go through the trouble and they wrote up that executive order outlining all these things? But everyone's like, Trump's just like him. He's involved. He's doing the same things. But yeah, he's going to write up an executive order, outline all his own crimes that he's misdealing. This is what's been happening. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are, where you're coming from. If you're just tuning in, this is what's been going on. People just starting to wake up, getting in. We've argued with these people now, like, oh yeah, do you know all government is bad? You're right. I mean, all these years, it's like, yeah. So Trump's saying what? And they don't know this story yet. They're blending him in. Well, all government's bad, like you said, man. I agree, but that's Trump too. He's government now. Oh, so he just got in. You got somebody possibly trying to clean house. He said this. This is what he ran off of. How many people in the past have talked about? They've talked about getting rid of that guy that's talking over there, but not a system, not a deep state.
Evil, so again, and these aren't widely televised. Your mainstream media is not. This was on the air for maybe 20, maybe 8 hours, and it was taken off. So to give you guys a grasp of what this is talking about in a nutshell, if you've done anything against humanity or anybody has come on American soil, they now fall under the state of emergency. So we believe, and we're going to be reading the second executive order that we're going to be highlighting in today's episode.
So yeah, exactly. Let me get to it. Boom. All right. So we got the federal or the 2018 amendments to the manual for courts martial. All right. UCMJ. These are updates, amendments that have been passed to put in. Now, what's interesting about this one is this the one that doesn't go into effect till January 1st of 2019. All right.
So what's the executive order and when did he?
All right. Oops. Executive Order 13825, and this was put in on March 1st of this year that we're in right now, 2018.
Okay.
Go ahead and read this here, Ben.
Okay, so this is going to be dealing with court martials and that, or martial law, that kind of stuff. So it's by authority vested in the President of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including Chapter 47, Title 10 in the United States Code, Uniform Code of Military Justice, or UCMJ, ordered to prescribe amendments to the manual for courts martial, United States, prescribed by Executive Order 12473 of April 13th, 1984, as amended. It is hereby ordered as follows. And we're going to be going down to the, obviously, so the Section 1 is going to tell you different parts in it.
Section 2 talks about the amendments in the Annex 1 shall take effect on the date of this order.
So we're trying to get to the Annex 2, Section 2. Where does it say right here where it talks about the... okay.
Section 3.
Pursuant to the Section 5542 of the Military Justice Act of 2016, Divisions E of National Defense Authorized Act for fiscal year 2017.
NDAA.
There you go. Otherwise provided by the MJA, or this order shall take effect on January 1st, 2019. So this was signed March 1st of 2018, but does not go into effect. So this is not an active executive order.
Nothing in the MJA shall be construed to be make punishable, or any act done or omitted prior to January 1st, 2019 that was not punishable when done or omitted.
So this is a nice little clause that whatever is not swooped up before January 1st all gets collected, and now is going to fall under this new amendment of the courts martial. This is the manual. This is what they go off of when martial law is declared. Is the manual for courts martial.
What's this one say? Go ahead and read that.
Nothing in Title LX, and I can't read the offhand, it's like 10 something, of the MJA, there we go, shall be construed.
Let me get it a little bigger. There you go.
Shall be construed to invalidate the prosecution of any offense committed, now listen, before January 1st, 2019. The maximum punishment for an offense committed before January 1st, 2019 shall not exceed the maximum punishment in effect at the time of the commission of such offense. What is that saying? Well, if you commit treasonous acts in 2018 and this comes out in 2019, are they the same punishment? Well, so what's the maximum punishment for treason? So it goes on to say...
Nothing, let me see this. Nothing in the MJA. Whoosh. It's got to be in the right spot. Nothing in the MJA shall be construed to invalidate any non-judicial punishment proceeding, restraint, investigation, referral of charges, trial in which arraignment occurred, or other action begun prior to January 1st, 2019. Except as otherwise provided in this order, the MJA shall not apply in any case in which charges were referred to trial by court-martial before January 1st of 19. Except as otherwise provided in this order, proceedings in such... So are we saying that anyone that took the deal prior to January 1st, and maybe they got hemmed up last year, if the story goes to be true, this is where we're going to get in a little bit of blase, but follow along here, folks. The story's going that we got, Q says cooperating witnesses. We got them left and right. So we got cooperating witnesses, all right, that are now leaving the game. And it might not make sense. People are like, I thought this person, Sessions left. I thought this guy that just left today, I thought he was... They were. But there is an end game for them, and the end game is to leave and go. And now it looks like they're not going to... Well, I'm doing this because I signed a deal. What they would say for the optics of the whole thing to be organic and to play... I mean, me and Ben were saying there might be people that are waiting to the very last minute to race in, and then it might be too late. Like, we're closed for business. We're not taking any more witnesses. We're done. We only got 2 days left. They're thinking the last minute they can go and do something, but because they've had hope that at any time Trump could be removed and they can regain power, and then they didn't want to spit on their brothers or their traitor. The people they're working with. That would be horrible for them if they were to flip and then the power comes back and then they're like,
Well, exactly. So some of our speculation is the fact that what makes January 1st, 2019 so much larger than any other major dates that we've had so far.
What are they changing, by the way? Like, so somebody that would take a deal, if you're bad, you're like, if I wait till after, I'm going to get put to death maybe? Or, I mean, there's already rules, and what's changing? What is this saying about January 19, by the way? What is hugely changing?
How they traditionally do court martials. Now they're able to do with the National Emergency Act executive order just before this. Now they're able to swoop anybody up. So these adjustments to the manual of courts martial is now going to start. It outlines. Look at We now used to just do military stuff, and it was all the time. And like for instance, let me give this is real story. I was overseas. A bunch of guys got into some problems in the local economy. They wanted to be arrested. Well, our CEO comes in and talks to their captain, and we all go home. Why? Well, because we were soldiers. Yes, we committed a crime. It was on their place, but it was their whole SOFA, Status of Forces Agreement, things like this. So there's agreements, there's laws that trump other laws when you're in certain situations. What this particular order now does, it says we are now going to be operating on a different level. We are now going to be able to start doing military tribunals to civilians. Why? Because they now can be deemed a threat as national security under this executive order, so now they can be tried in this idea. One of the other speculations that we've been having in Garage Talk as well under these two particular executive orders is, like Mike was saying, these deep staters know that they have a certain time to play and to shove the cards and do their spin games, because at this particular time, certain law that they have no control and they can't stop it comes into effect. And once that comes into effect, then that also means, and we've speculated, have we had the 10 days of darkness yet? When it comes, and we were speculating, maybe was it possible information darkness? How do you have military tribunals on domestic United States soil? What other time in history?
Yeah, you have to have certain aspects set up, folks. You have to be. Now, with that executive order of December 20th of 17, that put us in a national state of emergency. They were able to get extra fundings, extra special teams, extra
certain
councils. You found the heads of agencies to be corrupt. You're allowed to shut them down. That's not something Trump put in. That's something that's been long standing. Trump could have literally shut these agencies down to clean them up, even though you have a big mass body that's decent, hard working, good patriots, but you have the heads of them that are bad. He could have shut them down. They did it in this way, this more organic way, filled positions one by one. It wasn't as devastating to our country. All right, so you got to keep all that in mind. But back to what you were saying.
Well, yeah, no, this is come January 1st, I think 2019, we're going to be seeing, I speculate that possibly there's going to be, how do you get military tribunals? The only other place in time and history I can think about when we were trying crimes against humanity on a public level was the trials in Nuremberg with the Nazis. That's the only time in my life, or that I even know of, not in my lifetime, but I know that we did that. How did they do that? Well, they had to be in certain states of emergency, the Congress, and have certain things, even though it wasn't our country. I think about that here. So all these national emergencies have to be enacted. Certain laws have to be, executive orders have to be set in place so the military can actually start operating and doing trials under the UCMJ, the Uniform Military Code of Justice. That's stuff that only soldiers have to get tried under. But now civilians can get tried under. Mike and I were also kind of hypothesizing and trying to depict, could possibly Operation Jade Helm that accrued in 2015, was that part of this overall plan? I don't know, and this is highly speculative.
Well, we know they were mapping like the country. They were teamed up with like what that one, not Radon, but one of
the ICE. They had with
the
local
one company,
the
number one chip maker for the government. I can't remember what company that is.
Raytheon.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we know Jade Helm, folks. Was that a way to get gear into area? We know that we had reports in 2015. Everyone thought it was something different, but they were staging. They were mass amounts of
how do you
tanks,
get equipment
to all these depot bases, all these National Guard armories. You start filling them up, and then they're there. They're in the area.
Didn't the National Guard just get activated in certain areas?
Mm-hmm.
That you have military for the first time in I don't know how long. The
military, you cannot have the military deployed on our country's soil without having martial law or things
national
declared emergencies.
Yes. And so
there's been some, upgrading, some amendments, some merging of some things to get this to be possible. So we don't know what this is leading up to, other than if we follow the story that we all know, it makes sense.
It does make sense, and just off these executive orders and what they're telling us, then that means why January 1st? What's the big deal? How about now? Why not then? Is this maybe because maybe Kavanaugh is now going to be an acting Supreme Court justice and now going to start judging on certain cases? Is it this is where the time frame happens? Is this why the Senate was the key, or was that cue and we fought for? And these indictments is going to bring the House down, the actual House, not the House of Cards, maybe. So we don't know, but it's very interesting that this date has come up in this executive order in this way, prescribing civilians being tried as if they were soldiers.
And we've had I thought if we go back to even Kennedy or Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
Now they tried those people around his death because they were working with foreign people.
Yes.
So you can be a civilian and
John Wilkes Booth, I believe, was tried for treason.
Yeah, because he orchestrated with the foreign government. So
Yes.
what we need to keep in mind here is they've always had that, if you're in the government and you're working. Now, we were talking about this. So in the military as well, I've seen people fall asleep on watches, all right? And that's a real bad thing. You're actually watching a critical part of a ship or a critical part of a base.
Or fire watch.
The fire watch,
Yeah.
gate entry, just enemy entry, And it's one thing to be doing that in peacetime and during training and all your trainings. I've seen it. I've seen people fry at captain's mast and lose rank and be restricted to, the base for 30, 45, 40, whatever.
Yeah.
But to do it during wartime is punishable by death. All right, folks? It's punishable by death. And it's kind of like, well, why?
Yeah, it seems so harsh. What's the deal?
It's death. Now, not only did you fall asleep, it's already bad enough, and it could be, I don't know. I mean,
well, what do we say? That it states that in the time of war, if you fall asleep in fire watch, you
enemy combatant, right?
You jeopardize every life of the soldier who's sleeping under your watch.
Yes.
So
if it's a critical part of, like, I was on a nuclear powered aircraft carrier, you're thinking a certain watch. It doesn't matter wartime, peacetime, still very critical. You could still kill thousands of people by being negligent in peacetime. So I guess it would depend on what happens after the fact. If you did something that bad and it was peacetime and a bunch of people died, you might be put to death, maybe. I don't know.
But in time of war,
it's just cut and dry. All right. So that's what we're trying to tell you here. What do we know for facts, folks? Let's go over a few quick facts here and get out of the realm of a couple of speculating. Jade Helm.
Back on
we're
fact.
just, that's just a little tidbit of what we pushed.
Yeah.
Get you guys thinking. We know that Trump did the executive orders here. We know that it is we've been operating at war since after September 11th with the Patriot Act.
Yes.
That sense that, whether you felt it or your life's changed much, we all can agree. Airport securities, liquids, all these heightened security, a little bit less privacy. They entered into our homes with the cameras and the spying and just gathering everything. Now I'm starting to see this bigger picture. Why did they do that? Maybe it was to get so much information in there that they could operate better themselves, because it's now cluttered with, you have to do a query, you have to search for things. You can gather everything you want. You don't have enough people to look at all the mass of 7 billion people, what they're saying. So now you need to query the 7 billion people's stuff, and that takes a lot of manpower. With them opening up the floodgates and sharing things with all the Five Eye and all the different intelligence, now you're bringing in all their intelligence. You made it harder to find things, and they couldn't keep a good eye on our national security that way anymore because it got so flooded with information. If they would have just looked at the right things that they wanted to before things coming in from countries of bad origin, then you'd have a better chance at catching the lingo. You take in everything, it floods the systems, and these people could operate. So there's tons of different, but we know for a fact that we've been operating. We know for a fact if these people have done treasonous things, it's kind of like a government employee. They took the oath. They did things with the foreign country. that falls into all this. And
This states, yes, this covers all that kind of stuff. And this is where plausible deniability is not going to come into play. You can't do that. Why do these people want public trials? So a lot of them can say, well, this is more getting into the executive closed door trials. And when it comes, those kind of dumb arguments can't be called in military tribunals. Military tribunals are very different. You don't have the rights to is what you think. There you go. And so, I mean, you stop and think about what's happening. Be aware of these executive orders. Research them yourself. They paint the picture of what's going to be happening. This date wasn't thrown out there just ubiquitously like any other date. This date has meat to it. This date has traction to it. This date has factual executive orders behind it.
it just makes sense, you know.
It
It's
just
like
makes sense. How can you try somebody unless we're not under martial law level to be able, these agencies, federal, come in and try civilian people on our land, on
we
American
talked
soil.
about that. What now? You know, just go into a quick future of it, the next president, whoever it is, left, right. Hopefully, the country's just cleaned up. That's all I pray for. That's all we
Yes.
want here from the Patriot Hour. I think is just a fair, clean system. You know, but if that first power they get in is to undo Trump's executive order 13852, you know, what would that say for that person? It's like human rights abuse is fine. We need to get rid of this. You know that. Hey,
Wait a minute there. This was a good thing. We like
any president could have put this in. There are some ones that they can't. You know, they go to this, they go to that. Nobody wants to hear it, so they do them, and takes effect immediately, and it's something to do with sometimes something personal. Maybe, you know.
They had executive orders on local trade agreements, state stuff. They were doing stuff for the military to move stuff because it wasn't passing through Congress. And so we've seen executive orders before, but none of them had the gravity and used verbiage like corruption. Not every executive order has to be highly specific to its functionality. You can't just say corruption because that's like, my garbage man could be corrupted and taking my garbage that I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like the corruption, that's like saying terrorism. Well, what do you mean? You are terrorizing me. Everybody I could terrorize my cat just in the sheer function because I'm over 6 feet tall.
Yes. So you guys leave some comments about this.
Yes.
We're going to shut her down here in a few more minutes, but we'll take a few, maybe 5 more minutes to talk. But I just wanted to say, leave comments down below what you think about this. Where is your head? A lot of you have been following the Patriot Hour for the last year, close to. So what are your guys' thoughts? We're interested. Leave them down below, and maybe just some links or just your opinions on where's this all leading. What does it mean to you? What is the executive order, the amendments to the UCMJ?
Throw that back up on the main screen, and as we're kind of closing out, we can just maybe go down there and just look at some of the paragraphs. Who knows? Just something that looks good. You know, I mean.
So it's very clear none of this is taking effect.
When you talk about, you know, it's just, this came out. This is very, very, very clear. Exactly what Mike was saying. The dates. The Military Justice Act. That's of 2016. So this is in pursuant. I go down there to let's see, there's some other ones.
So that one's huge, blocking the property of persons involved in.
So that means it doesn't matter if you're in your foundation and I didn't really know that we were taking children from Haiti.
Yeah.
Well, we now, yep. And so again, all the stuff we're pulling from it is from the Federal Register. We're getting the links off of the QMAP site that is definitely down below in the link. There's 88 executive orders. There's so much to go through. They all pretty much, if you go through a lot of them, it's in preparation to January 1st. A lot of them are preparing for that particular date. And we look at what was happening in midterms. What is the significance of the Senate? Why is the Senate so important? This is the judicial, the judging branch of our government that has very unique authorities. Remember, we are a government of of weights and balances. And yes, each structure of our government has its own duties. There's ones to make laws, and there's ones to
Break them.
serve justice on those laws.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at the one that's going to be functioning, and when martial law or this type of military tribunals falls under what these executive orders are calling for, this is the branch of the government that becomes a little bit more empowered than all the rest. This is just something to think about, and it's coming more to light why the Senate was the main focus on what Q and Trump was doing to win that Senate, because this may bring the House down in the way of 60. How many sealed indictments are there?
Yeah,
just crazy amount. So
60K plus supposedly. We're still looking at it daily. Here's some little bit of breaking news, but we talked about it in the last video. But Michael Flynn's heavily redacted sentencing memo shows Mueller could drop more bombshells in Russia probe, experts say. So special counsel Robert Mueller's glowing performance review of star witness and former national security advisor Michael Flynn suggests there are more shoes to drop in the ongoing probe of the Russian election interference. In a heavily redacted court document filed Tuesday night ahead of Flynn's December 18th sentencing in Washington, D.C. federal court, Mueller recommended a light sentence, possibly so light as included to no jail time at all, for President Donald Trump's ex-senior official campaign surrogate. Now, this is funny because, Loretta Lynch took the advice from the FBI, from Comey. That's what she left it up to after she met with Bill on the tarmac, that whatever the FBI recommends, we're going to do. And the FBI recommended no charges. Here you got Mueller recommending no jail time. See if that goes through. Mueller said in that sentencing memo that Flynn 60 had provided firsthand insight over the course of 19 interviews with special counsel investigators, which is Huber, Horowitz, and the special
470 special investigators.
Yes, we say that over and over, folks, so we can remind you and we remember. So we don't ever forget. Justice Department attorneys. So there you go. They're just giving you special counsel investigators, which is Huber and Horowitz, and the 470 plus Justice Department attorneys and investigators. Mm-hmm. And that his benefits to their work may be fully realized until the investigations are finished. So they're saying investigations.
Which is stuff, some that are sealed, some that are not. And so if you can't come out saying one, the other one.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, we're at the 38-minute mark. I know you got to get heading out here soon, so let's close this down. I'll give you your final thoughts or opinions to the people, what you want to say. We are at, I don't know, probably like 62,000+ subscribers now. I know.
You guys are awesome. Thank all of you guys. Again, because of you guys, it just fires us up. I could say this. This is not something to be afraid of. This isn't something to go run and hide in the darkness. We know that what's happening is shining light into the darkness. Be excited, but don't put your head in the sands. Don't think that that the government as a whole is going to take care of you 100%. If the government, if Trump and Q is giving the power back to us, that means we have to be more responsible as individual people of this country. So what does that mean? Well, if you know something is coming in the future, wouldn't you prepare for it? Mike and I always say preparation favors victory. You have the information, you know where it's at. I pray that God gives you the wisdom, Godspeed to you and your family, and definitely share this video, subscribe, and I just feel stoked to be in the studio and getting this information out to you guys, because we've been talking a lot about this particular thing coming up. We've told you about it months before. This is just a refresher, kind of a knocking on the old head box, if you will. So,
yes.
Mike, what do you have to say for this?
Well, like always, folks, just thanks for joining us. I would say don't take what we say here for truth. You guys find it out, all right? We just offer the red pill sessions, and if you have any doubt, do your own research, connect your own dots, come to your own conclusions. That's what we always promote here at the Patriot Hour. Thinking for yourself, doing for yourself, and get out there. And if we're wrong, come back, let us know in the comment section, send us an email. Everything's down below, and we'll be the first to admit it. We weren't always that way. I wasn't always that way. I'm sure Ben wasn't. But in our later age here, coming up through the research and just this whole truth movement, I'm happy to learn new things. And as long as it's the truth, I won't fight for what I was wrong on. That's not me anymore. That's one of the biggest pleasures of my life is learning all this and working with you other Patriots. You guys have corrected me several times, and I applaud that. So it's been one of the biggest honors. So with that being said, I'm Mike. This is the Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed each and every one of you worldwide. We'll see you back here real soon on the next Patriot Hour update video coming real soon. I'm Mike. That was Ben. We'll see you guys here real soon.